So, as I'm sure many of you guys already have seen, there's like what a shocker, more shootings in this fucking
To
shithole
get your
country.
car up and going and then be able to plow through, which I would imagine are some pretty heavy doors, at least from the churches that in my area that I've seen, that it would take some force to be able to actually, you don't want to get wedged, right? And so the person knows I got to be able to maximize the use of force, get myself into that church, and then be able to start firing, knowing also now there's going to be a fire. And I don't think this person was planning at all at some sort of escape route.
And also to your point, it almost seems as though the gunman would have been somewhat familiar with the church. As you mentioned, you know, the person obviously knew that he could drive through the front doors, you know, and perhaps, like you said, there weren't necessarily stairs that would impede, you know, the travel process of it. But I would imagine that, you know, because of all of that, the gunman did appear to at least be somewhat familiar with the area, even in terms of driving down the street, in terms of the rate of speed, in terms of where, you know, he anticipated the entry point into the church itself before, you know, firing upon the congregants.
Yeah, this took some planning on this individual's part to be able to know that, for example, not having seen the church outside of the pictures that we're seeing of being totally engulfed in flames, where what did the church look like before with relation to the parking lot, with relation to ground entrance doorways and being able to gain access, and then determining that once this person made a decision, I'm going to use my vehicle to gain entrance and then continue on with my wreaking of havoc, that this is going to be the door. That's why I would believe this person probably had been inside that church to know that a particular door, if there are several doors that this person could have chosen at any point to ram with a car, that they chose a specific doorway for to do what they were planning on doing, as opposed to just, hey, there's a door, I'm going to randomly ram it with my car, because they don't know what's on the other side of that door. There could be some sort of barrier that would not have allowed that car, would have immediately stopped it, something within that church. So this tells me that if this person was able to do that, gain access, more than likely with a full tank of gas, because that's another part of utilization of damage, that this person knew what was on the other side of that door and probably had some sort of previous contact, if not a congregant, at least stepped inside that church at least once to get an idea.
You know, Scott, I also wanted to ask you this, because as we've been taking live looks at the scene right here, we did see a bomb squad, a vehicle exit. And I have to imagine that there is concern, and we've seen this in previous situations where eventually there might be multiple scenes, including, you know, at the gunman's residence, you know, and I have to imagine part of the concern is, could there be additional scenes with booby traps and such? You know, or
I like how they're already, it hasn't even been an hour and they're already calling it a left-wing shooter.
That suspect is no longer with us. As I said, it is a 40-year-old male from Burton. During all this incident as well, there was a fire that occurred, and we believe that was deliberately set by the suspect. We do believe that we will find additional victims once we have that scene secure. That fire was just extinguished by the Grambling Township Fire Department within the past hour. So where we go from here is we have investigators. We're going to do search warrants on the suspect's residence. We're going to find out if there was a motive. We're going to go through cell phone records, things like that. We had FBI, you know, they're devoting 100 agents to this area, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of witnesses that were within the church, and that is a lot of witness information, statements that we have to obtain. So I'd like to thank all the agencies who responded. The the City of Grand Blanc, Genesee County, Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Flint Township Police Department, the DNR, the State Police, and the ATF. I will provide additional information for you at 5 p.m., but I am willing to take any questions that you have that I could possibly answer right now.
Chief, can you talk about the kind of the progress of events? Did the suspect set the fire to get back inside of his vehicle and then ram the front door, or did it all happen at the same time?
So from what I understand, and again, this is just a preliminary investigation right now, from what I have been briefed on, is that he rammed the vehicle through the front door, exited, then started firing shots. We are still trying to determine exactly when and where that fire ended up coming from and how it got started. So we believe it was deliberately set, though, by the suspect.
Were they in an active service when this happened?
Yes, the service was active. There was hundreds of people within the church.
Are you sure it's only one suspect at this point, or is it possible other people helped setting the fire? What happened?
Yes, it is one suspect that we know of at this point. We do not believe that there's a threat to the public. We believe that we have the guy who did this. Sir.
Could you comment at all on the severity of the injuries at this time?
We have a couple in critical condition. Like I said, one is deceased. The rest of them are in stable condition.
So a couple, maybe 3 or 2, I'm sorry?
One deceased. The suspect is deceased as well. And then multiple victims are in critical condition. We do believe that we will find some additional victims once we find the area where the fire was.
Any word on the weapon yet?
An assault rifle.
So, as far as ammunition, did he have a lot of ammunition?
That I don't know of.
I'm in awe of this bullshit. Donald Trump tweeting, I've been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The FBI was immediately on the scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials. The suspect is dead, but there is still a lot to learn. This appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. The Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. In the meantime, pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. Another targeted attack on Christians. You know, I have always said it was going to start with the war on Christmas and it was going to end in violence. Oh, wait, no one's ever fucking said that in their life. In fact, everyone has said, hey, how about some good gun control?
Yeah, and I could get you later. Yeah.
Hi, Bill.
Hey.
Was the suspect known to authorities, and did he have any connection to anyone who was in that church?
Right now, we don't have any of that information, but I'm confident that our investigators, along with...
This was the truck that was driven. Gunmen crashed into Mormon church in Michigan before opening fire and setting it ablaze. And it kind of looks like an F-150. It's hard to tell. With 2 American flags in the truck bed. Yeah, that's a leftist if I've ever seen one. I like how the second any shooting comes out now, Fox News is just immediately like, well, we don't know anything about the shooting at all. We don't know how many people have died. We don't know how many people were shot. We don't actually even know if any bullets were used. But we can say for a fact that it is a leftist. This is definitely a trans-Tifa leftist here to kill all of the Christians. We can tell that for sure. It's like, holy shit, dude. Oh, we're not even doing thoughts and prayers anymore. We've moved past thoughts and prayers as Americans. No more thoughts, no more prayers. Just blame the left.
The FBI, we're going to end up uncovering all that information and provide that at a later time for you.
Chief, to clarify, you said there may be additional victims like inside the church? Or?
Yes, where the fire was. So, and the reason why we can't confirm that just yet is because it was a large fire, and we do believe that there was people up there that were near that fire, and they were unable to get out of the church. So we do believe that we will find additional victims once we're able to search that, once there's no signs of a fire reigniting.
So do you believe that the victims that are still there, they succumbed to fire injuries or gunshots, or you're not sure?
That I'm not sure, but I could provide all that information hopefully at 5 p.m.
The shots were fired.
Shots were fired, yes.
And he had no idea how many bullets. this point?
No idea how many at this time. Yeah.
Can you
Sir.
describe the church? Is there like a worship area and then like a gathering space or something like that? I mean, can you
That I have not been in, so I can't tell you the layout.
Kind of describe the process of how things change for tactical response when there's an active fire. Every training I've seen, it's always been a building that has not been on fire. So how do you then deal with an active shooter when you have that situation happening as well?
Well, we are here at Grand Blanc Township, and there's a lot of agencies within the state of Michigan. We are specifically trained to go right to the threat in an active shooter situation. And I'm proud of my guys and the DNR who responded to this scene, who immediately took that suspect out, so there was no additional victims. So it was a great job by our staff.
So it was a law enforcement officer that neutralized the suspect?
Yes, there was 2 law enforcement officers involved. I will be back here at 5 p.m. to give you additional information and hopefully answer some of the questions that you guys went over here today. So, okay. Supervisor Bennett?
So sorry.
Bro, I agree with you, bro. I want bone glue. I don't want this. Have they found any engravings? Yeah, I'm getting word right now that they found engravings that say, the left it loves violence and I am the left.
Hello, Scott Bennett, Grand Blanc Township Supervisor. Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T. First,
yeah, the one bullet said anti-Jesus. Another one said immigrants rule.
let me say we are heartbroken. And this kind of violence doesn't happen in our community. And we are heartbroken that it came to Grand Blanc Township. And we're going to do everything we can to support the families, the victims, and our community getting through this situation. And it's something that no community ever wants to have. And we're going to do our best to do everything we can. We appreciate the outpouring of support from our elected leaders from both national and state in offering their assistance, and we probably will take them up on their offers. So we appreciate that very much, and we appreciate the community reaching out to us also. So the details are yet to come, as Chief Rennie has said, and we'll wait for a little bit later today when we have the rest of the situation assessed. But it may take a little while to do that. But thank you for all the support, and I'm sure that the families and the victims are going to need that. It's a tragedy that nobody wants to encounter. Thank you.
Chief, before you step out, can you go over the process with family members, where you want them to go, who they should call to get more information?
Yeah, so those family members, they are in a secure area right now. They have been taken over to Trillium, so that's where the FBI will interview them and then release them from there. So
I mean, in terms of anybody who might be at home who is not there, who wants to check in to see if their loved one is okay, is there a number or place that you want them to go?
yes, you could call the Grand
Also,
Blanc
yeah,
Township Police.
sorry, apologies. As many other people have already mentioned, calling a Mormon church or like a shooting at a Mormon church, an attack on Christians is so nonsensical because Mormonism does not equal Christianity. This is literally an anti-Mormon crime, probably perpetrated by a hyper-Christian evangelical white nationalist, or equally likely an ex-Mormon, but we don't have any information, so I'm not going to speculate. I'm just saying that, like, it's way more likely that it'd be one of these groups than it would be anything else. I was born and raised Mormon Central Utah. I remember growing up having Baptists come from all over the world, especially in the South, to tell us how Mormons are going to hell. Mormons may as well be Muslims in the eyes of a lot of evangelical Christians. They are not considered Christian among evangelicals. In fact, there's some interesting parallels between Islam and Mormonism and the fact that they both have prophets that come, spelled wrong, but that's okay, after Jesus Christ's existence. I mean, that's one similarity. I don't know if I would compare them more than that. But, yeah, no, Mormonism is not Christianity. It's not. Not even, like, it's kind of like calling Amish people American. It's like, I mean, I guess not really. They have, like, you know, they live here, but like I don't even know if you can say that. What are they then? Canadian? Denims is anti-Amish. Amish people's autonomous zone. Yeah, it's like Amish people are totally cut off from American culture in almost every shape, way, and form. to the point where they might be American in name and they live here in America and they have American citizenship. But past that, you can't really compare someone that like fucking lives in the middle of Texas to an Amish person. Like, there's totally different people. It's the same thing with like Christianity and Mormonism. It's like, I mean, not really, no.
Department 810-424-2611. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, you were just listening into a news conference. We heard from the police chief, Bill Rennie, and the supervisor there, Scott Bennett, both talking about the heartbreak that community is facing after 10 people were shot, according to the police chief, including one person that has died. The suspect, they said, has also been killed. The fire that they talked about starting at the church is believed to have been from a 40-year-old male from Burton, Michigan. Again, the suspect was killed. Police saying there is no threat to the community, but they say that this fire is believed to have been started by that individual who also fired shots inside that Latter-day Saints church this morning. A motive is unclear. The police talked about wanting to get cell phone records to understand what...
Saying Mormons aren't Christian is also getting into weird interreligious infighting and making theological arguments. News outlets probably should call Mormons Christians unless they want to take a stance on that infighting. No, I mean, they should. I'm saying my comment is about this fucking Trump tweet that says yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. Like, or you could just say this was another shooting in our American spaces.
Perhaps was the motivation for somebody to go shoot up a church this morning in Michigan there, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Police describing that he rammed his vehicle through the front door, then exited and started firing shots. They said, again, one suspect is believed to be involved at this time. They don't believe any other people were involved. You can see community members right there on your screen holding each other, smoke billowing from that church where the fire was started. There were multiple victims that the police chief said are in critical condition. At first, when questioned about it, he said a couple in critical condition, but then said there were multiple victims in critical condition. They did recover an assault rifle. They do not know if the suspect was connected to this church in any way. Officials have been speaking out about this. Again, the supervisor there for Grand Blanc, Scott Bennett, saying, first, we are heartbroken, said this kind of violence does not happen in our community. Governor Gretchen Whitmer posted a written statement on social media saying, my heart is breaking for the Grand Blanc community. Violence anywhere, especially in a place of worship, is unacceptable. Quote, I am grateful to the first responders who took action. We will continue to monitor the situation. The police chief, as in many situations like this, acknowledging that they still have a lot of information to comb through, but hoping to have a news conference later this evening at 5 p.m. to hopefully bring the community and the media up to speed on what happened, what was the motivation, and hopefully an update on those victims. Again, just to recount, we're hearing 10 people were victims of gunshots, including one person that has died. The suspect has been killed. I want to bring in Anna Schechter. She joins us by phone. She's the senior coordinating producer for CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. Anna, I know you've been listening in to the news conference, too. A lot of folks had questions. But as in cases like this, we're only a couple of hours removed from when this happened. So a lot still has to be determined. But what did you make of what the police chief was saying in reference to not knowing if this person was somehow connected to this church?
It's a great point, because that is the big question, is why and motive. So I'm hoping at 5 p.m. we're going to learn more. But the fact that multiple victims, 10 gunshot victims transported to local hospitals. I mean, this is a major event during a day of worship, a morning of worship. So we will probably find out that there was some connection between the suspect and this church, and we're just waiting to learn more details.
A number of officials have spoken out about this already. I don't know if you were listening there when we talked about the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, issuing statements. The FBI investigation director, Kash Patel, saying violence in a place of worship is cowardly and a criminal act. Our prayers are with the victims and their families during this terrible tragedy. And then U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi also mentioning that such violence, she says, at a place of worship is heartbreaking and chilling, and asking people to join in with prayers. As far as you can tell, Anna, this is a community back in June, I'm sure you recall, in Wayne, Michigan, that experienced a similar situation. But in that case, one person was shot. The alleged gunman was killed. Talk to us about the impact that something like this has on a community, especially to hear from the supervisor opening up, saying, we are heartbroken. This kind of violence doesn't happen in our community.
Well, it's notable that just 3 months ago this happened, as you mentioned, in Wayne. Now, in that particular instance, it was a domestic violence dispute, and we only learned that later, that the suspect was actually targeting a woman, and it was a domestic violence, essentially, like the worst case scenario, an awful thing that occurred in a very tight-knit community. So that trauma is still being experienced by that community. It's about an hour's drive south of where this has just occurred at this Church of Latter-day Saints. So just really tough few months for this area, and really shocking just the way that this played out. A vehicle rammed into a church during church services. More than 100 people were there worshiping. Then opened fire. Just a horrific morning there. And multiple agencies, as you mentioned, ATF is on the scene, the local FBI, Michigan State Police, the local police have been the lead, and we'll see if that changes if the FBI decides to take over. But at this point, it appears that local and state police are leading this investigation.
And according to the website, the church services start at about 10 o'clock. We understand that today the Worldwide Church of Latter-day Saints was grieving the death of their prophet, Russell M. Nelson. Now, we are not saying this is linked in any way, but here you have people that were mourning a leader in that church who was over 100 years old. Something like this happening. And also worth mentioning, the police chief saying, we believe we will find additional victims as we continue our investigation, because they believe people were not able to quite get out of that church safely because of that fire. So when you hear that the suspect set fire to the church, how does that impact the response to a shooting like this?
This is such a complex situation for law enforcement to address. Not only you had a shooter, but
what the fuck is this sound?
The fire. It's just sort of everything that could possibly be challenging happened in a very short period of time. We heard that a couple of local police officers were able to get there. They neutralized the suspect, but then essentially the entire building was ablaze. So we very well might hear that there are other injuries from smoke inhalation, burns, that sort of thing. We know at this time 10 gunshot
Yeah, it's the Rapture chat. It just came a day late.
Victims.
A couple days late.
We don't know at this time how many victims might have been impacted by that fire.
Gunshot.
For everyone saying Mongolian throat singing, yeah. Aliens, yeah. Robots, yeah. Shinji, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you. Isaac, thank you so much for the 2 months.
Denims is streaming.
Subliminal music turning our children trans and into Dungeons and Dragons. This is all true. Mild Rapture. This is true. Yeah, the only concern, chat. Sorry, I was trying to pull up some better resources while I was looking into this to talk about. It's not a conflation if it requires you to disregard their beliefs about themselves and take a position on theological argument from some other Christian groups. Yeah, but you should stay away from calling, even if they call themselves Christians, you should, from a PR perspective, you should stay away from calling them Christians, because then evangelical Christians will be pissed off. It's better to call them Mormons.
Hassan's hot. I'm gonna fuck him.
Than it is to call them Christians. Like, you underestimate the rage of evangelical Christians in this country. Like, even if you just go to fucking Christianity.com, you'll see, like, Tips on sharing the gospel with Mormons. Don't assume they're all alike or believe the same doctrines. Resist the urge to tell them what they believe, even if you are an expert. For example, many well-meaning Christians quickly point out to their LDS counterpoints that Mormons are not saved because they believe in a different Jesus. Like, they don't. Evangelical Christians in this country are fucking crazy. They're actually fucking insane. So, like, it's better to just call them Mormons, and it's better to just call it a Mormon church. Because if you call them Christians, then the evangelical Christians will be pissed. And if you don't call them Christians, then the Mormons will be pissed. So you just stay away from either. Evangelical Christians are crazy everywhere, to be fair. That's true, actually. That is true. To be fair, though, it does depend on the narrative being crafted. Evangelicals will set that aside. However, if the narrative helps for their cause, like abortion or Reagan, they'll set aside disagreements to gain power. Now, that's also true, yeah. I agree with you that the Trump used used that terminology cynically. And I agree evangelicals don't consider Mormons to be Christian. I'm just offering information about something I happen to know vastly more about than most of your chat. More than, like, the person who said that they grew up Mormon and have had evangelical Christians tell them that they're not Christian. It's not a comment on whether or not Mormons think that they're Christian. It's a comment about whether or not other people think that they're Christian, right? In the same way that, like, Dave Rubin will call himself, what is it? Not an old school Democrat or liberal. What's a traditional liberal? What's the term? A classical liberal. Like, it doesn't matter how many times Dave Rubin calls himself a classical liberal. No one's buying what he's fucking selling, dude. Dave really fell off. That's true, actually. That's true. That's true. All right. Also, Barbara, thank you so much for the Prime. Margot, thank you so much for the gift sub. Remember, chat, this is the only time to sub. If you don't sub right now, both of my cats will explode. Okay? It's not my rules, it's Twitch's rules. That's what Twitch said that they would do. Yeah. That's just what Twitch said that they would do. I begged, I pleaded with them, and they said no. That's what they said. Don't look at me. Don't fucking look at me. Thank you, Queen. Thank you. Thank you, Queen. Thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you. Contraman, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Vasastar, thank you so much for the Prime. Pika, thank you so much for the 2 months.
Assange's hot. I'm gonna fuck him.
Doctor, thank you so much for the Prime. Pifaso, thank you so much for the Prime. Kaizuko, thank you so much. Urzoku, thank you for the 13 months. Rem, thank you for the 28 months. Thank you. That's evil. I know. That's what I told them. They're like, yeah, too bad. You got to sub to stop the evil.
Assange's hot. I'm gonna fuck him.
Rem, thank you for the 6 months in advance. Thank you. Miami, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you. Everyone's ranker, thank you so much for the 5. Peter Cup, thank you for the gift sub. Or sorry, the 29 months. Thank you. I love the sarcastic H3 sound clips. I only wanted to debut that one. He just trying to fuck me in the ass for one day, but people liked it too much. So now I'm like having to consider if I want to bring it back. You have to sub to start the evil. Are you a Christian pastor now? Yeah. Dude, evangelical Christians are so crazy. They're like scary to me. Dude, Kenneth Copeland scares me.
Isn't it true that you want to fly commercial so that you can fly in luxury?
The evil music.
How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business, but...
Isn't it the business of your donors?
Listen, I paid. The airplane that we have that I bought from Tyler Perry, and I didn't pay anywhere. Tyler's one of the greatest guys. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it. I love your eyes.
Again, getting back to the...
He's literally a fucking demon! Like, he's actually a demon. Like, it's actually a skin suit. Have you guys watched that one show, The Strain, with the Strigoi? He is a Strigoi.
Assange's hot. I'm gonna fuck him.
Dude, Ethan, now is not the time. Fox, thank you for the 8 months. Phantom, thank you for the 7 months. Amanda, thank you for the tier 1. Thank you guys so much. He's literally like...
Denims is streaming.
Yeah, this guy is like...
Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord. COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God from the state of Washington to the state of Maine to Brownsville, Texas, and the tip of Florida. Today, we speak to this atmosphere. Today, burn this thing. This virus hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn! Burn! I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 COVID-19!
Like, he is demonic. He is fucking demonic. Like, he is a false prophet.
You don't do it! You don't do it! You don't do it! You get out of here! Now! Burn! You don't do it! You don't do it! You don't do it! You get out of here! Burn this thing! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of... You are destroyed forever, and you'll never be back.
He looks like the Ferengi from Star Trek. That's too nice. He looks like a fucking plantation owner.
Hassan's hot. Oh, I'm gonna fuck him.
It's very weird to say right now, Ethan. But, I mean, whatever makes you happy, I guess. All right? Coolish, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you.
Denims is definitely top 5.
That's actually true. That is factually correct. God. Yeah, but I don't think we really have much more information on this shooter right now. I'm just like, the biggest problem that I have right now with like all of these shootings is the second that the shooting gets published, the second that any of this information gets published, we don't get any gun reform. We don't get any improved mental health care. We don't get any of this shit. We just get the shooter is a liberal and we need to crack down on more leftist speech. And it's so obscene too, because I don't know if you guys saw, there was like this list of like un-American speech and un-American speakers in the US. And it was like actually so dystopian. Like, you know who was fucking on that list? Hakeem Jeffries, for saying that like freedom of speech is important or something so fucking milquetoast. Let me see if I can find it.
People in critical condition, 1 dead, and the rest were taken to area hospitals.
You know, it's interesting, too, that assuming this is the shooter's home, think about this. Within a very short period of time, the police did obtain some kind of search warrant to get into the... Cops just can't walk into anybody's house. They've got to get a search warrant. But before they can get a search warrant, they've got to have at least enough evidence to convince a judge to sign a piece of paper, that search warrant, that would allow them to go. So where the cops got this information so quickly, you got to give them some credit. Oh, yes. Now, we don't know if the gun was recovered because the guns will give a lot of information, potentially. We don't know if one of the parishioners that were in the service, if they knew the shooter, that would also give the cops a lot of information. We don't know if there's any identifications on the shooter, that maybe some note or something. Now, obviously, the shooter is dead. Maybe he had a wallet, which would give him an address. Good piece of information there. But nevertheless, you still have to go and get that information, type it up. They don't type it up anymore. It's all done electronically. They call a judge, judge signs it, and they're off. So this happens at a very quick, but you got to give the police and the law enforcement, the first responders, some credit for doing that. And that's probably why they wanted us. They secured the area very, very quickly, got the people out of that church, and so that they, now we're talking, and we understand the FBI has been brought in very quickly, and more agents will be brought so they can gather more information. But obviously going to the shooter's house, and the search warrant would say they want anything related to electronic devices, cell phones, etc. in that house. And they're going to do, assuming this is the shooter's house, they're going to do a complete search of that shooter's house to try to find out the major question. Why?
Yeah, I agree with everyone else calling him a fucking ESPN caster. He's like making me anxious the way that he's talking about it.
This guy do it.
Yeah, the sad reality, Charlie, is that officers...
Cops doing the bare minimum and he's sucking them off. I mean, they literally applauded the cops for doing nothing. Capturing the alleged Charlie Kirk shooter. They were like, thank you to the cops who worked so hard and tirelessly when they picked up that phone call to get the guy that turned himself in.
Are trained for this. This isn't the first time this is carried out in this area. You know, we had...
But you have to understand, for like cops, this is a big deal, okay? Usually, you tell them that someone stole something and they're like, okay, what do you want us to fucking do about it?
We had MSU, we had the splash pad shooting in Rochester Hills, all occurring within the last few years here in the area. So we do know that they have a plan in place, and unfortunately, for better or worse, they carry that out in this case very quickly, as you mentioned. And who knows, that vehicle could have given some information, the one that they rammed into the truck, or I mean to the church, and then they could have gleaned where this person lives and get out to that place.
The license plate numbers, etc.
Yes,
There's a lot of things that the police are digesting. The other thing too is give some credit to the police officers. They did a press conference relatively quickly after and gave us a lot of information. And I remember on the Michigan State shooting, I was actually on my way on that scene, but there were a lot of misinformation being spread on social media, etc. That really was not good. I don't see it at this point in time from my vantage, but the police seem to have this under control, at least pretty well, pretty quickly. And when they said there's no threat to the public, that's a big deal. Because people around there, this is a tight-knit community. We just talked to one of the residents. They know people. People were down in Detroit, nurses that knew people that went to this church, and they left the football game to come here to try to help. Why? In part because they're nurses, yes, but because this is their community. And they're going to do everything they can to help people in their community, where the entire eyes of the country, including a statement by the President of the United States, came out and talked about this. So everyone's watching this right now. Give the law authorities their do it. There's the suspect. There's a statement from the president.
Yeah, I'll read the full thing. I have it here. I've been briefed by the horrendous shooting that took place on the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The FBI was immediately on scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials.
Trust me, Denim, football game is big shit around here. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's supposed to be a big deal that they left the football game. Meanwhile, me as like a sports anti-fan, legacy sports anti-fan, I'm like, so why the fuck would you stay at a football game? It's boring as shit.
Rather, the suspect is dead. There's still a lot to learn. It appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. The Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. In the meantime, pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. End quote. That was just moments after we had learned, what had taken place. So that the response has been immediate. It's been swift. He's not the only one responding. I know the governor of our state, Governor Whitmer, issued another statement saying, "My heart is breaking for the Grand Blanc community. Violence anywhere, especially in a place of worship, is unacceptable. I'm grateful for the first responders who took action quickly. We will continue to monitor this situation and hold the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc close." End quote. Yeah, and obviously this all taking place as hundreds of people set out to worship this morning. A beautiful Sunday morning, doing what they typically do. I've got another statement to read to you, this one from the Oakland County prosecutor. Americans have a right to feel safe at church. My heart goes out to the victims of the tragic shooting at Grand Blanc's LDS Church. But sympathy is not enough. Gun violence is a public health crisis. We have an obligation to find solutions to this deadly problem so that everyone can be safe at church, school, and other public places. And again, that speaks to what we've seen in recent years, just in our area alone, let alone the rest of the country. Still so much happening. Obviously we have the situation playing out.
Saying a mass shooting is unacceptable seems weird. Like, yeah, everyone knows that. Who the fuck are you telling this to? Well, the problem is that they can't say anything else, because if they say anything else, they might actually propose a solution, to stop the gun violence.
Of the church where Ingrid Kelly is, and the ongoing efforts to find out more information about the shooter, presumably where Camila is just 18 minutes away from the church itself out in Berkeley.
Very close area. People know everyone in both these cities. I'm assuming that I've been out there at some point in time, but it's been a little while. But from what I remember, very nice, but very close-knit community. We're taking live look.
Sorry, this chat message is taking me out. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Check out my daily streams. I do it every day at 2 p.m. Eastern, about 7.5 hours. I even read chat. You should check that out. This fucking chat message is taking me out, man. Oh, fuck me, dude. All right.
Victims, one person deceased.
Wait, no, not this.
And possibly
live pictures right now. Just trying to set up. This is still back to as Dave Spencer mentioned, there's two scenes now besides the church. This is obviously the church where the fire personnel are there. You can still see a little smoke in the area.
Right.
actually maybe a little more smoke than we just saw before. And these big fires that we've been to many times, yes, they can get the major part of the fire out, but there's still smoke.
You guys are making me hear the fucking Sam Cedar.
There's still hot spots, as they call it, where the fire can start again. So the fire personnel will...
No way to prevent this, says the only nation where this routinely happens. Oh, man, if there was only a way to stop mass shootings. Ugh. But nobody else has figured it out. No one else, no other country has ever figured it out. Every single country also has this same exact problem. We're just, every day there's another fucking mass shooting. Yeah, it's just so crazy. It's almost like other countries control it somehow. They like control the gun violence. They control like the guns. They have some type of like gun control, if you will.
Not leave the scene for quite a while. Although the major part of that fire where flames were shooting...
Sorry, I might just be being a hysterical woman. My apologies if that's what was happening.
The roof that could be seen, the black smoke for miles on
Why did he say black with a fucking hard R?
75, just a horrendous. They call it fully engulfed, and it usually means that it's going to be a total loss. Now, what kind of evidence may have been lost for that, we don't know. Hopefully, there are no victims in there, although the chief in the press conference we heard an hour or so ago said that he does expect that there may be more victims, and that's another issue and certainly a tragedy that they're going to have to get into. Likely we'll get more information on the number of victims at a 5 o'clock press conference.
Yeah, we do know that there's also a reunification center that's taking place for anybody who was separated from a loved one. They're asked to go there, and we were there for a minute, but you know, out of respect for those who are grieving and maybe getting some terrible news at the moment, we're asked to not get too up close and personal with that, and you could understand that reasoning there, which is why we decided to instead pursue what was happening over in Burton as they execute the search warrants. They're hoping to learn more, possibly from neighbors and from other people that might be in the area that could shed some light on what was happening with him. We know we have Ingrid Kelly standing by now to see if there's any updates from the scene of the church. Ingrid.
Actively out here just talking to people, and I actually met up with Tara Howard, a resident who I found just patiently waiting in her car. Unfortunately,
maybe I
can't get home right now. Miss Howard, talk to us about your feelings and what you know about the church.
I don't know much about the church. I just know that it's in my area. It's a place that I walk around occasionally for exercise. As far as me not being able to get home, I mean, this is just something you don't expect to see in person. You know, you hear and read about things in the news, but to have it in your front yard, in your backyard, like right across the street from where you live, and not be able to get home because of the destruction that's going on, it's just...
Talk to me. You were in church.
Dude, what the fuck? Tell me what you know. Nothing. Continuing.
Your church at the time. Talk to me about how you were notified.
We have a number of police officers and things at our church, and they received a notice that there was an active shooting in the area, and we immediately went on protective mode, lockdown situation. And I was coming home, you know, thinking that's it, you know, something I'll see or read on the news. And as I'm coming home, I could see like the black cloud just hovering over my neighborhood. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's right in my neighborhood. And then I get to the street and can't get home. Wow. So.
And I understand you work for the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. You've already talked to work.
I have, yep. And I talked to my boss to let her know. I don't know if I'll be in because I can't get home to change clothes. I can't get my work equipment or anything. So she just said to let her know if I need anything. They'll support me 100%. But this is just different.
Yeah.
You don't expect it.
Exactly. And again, so close to home in your neighborhood and everything like that. What do you know about this church?
Not much. I haven't been here that many years, so I'm not too familiar.
But there's community events there, peaceful environment. You've never seen anything destructive there?
Never anything destructive. Never heard anything destructive. Neighborhood is so super quiet. you don't hear anything. Maybe a dog barking every now and then, but you don't hear anything.
Again, just when you look around at the number that's massive. Charlie, go ahead.
Well, I just want to ask Miss Howard, if you could, just give us a little
His
idea
POV makes it seem like the cameraman is Mr. Howard.
of Grand Blanc. What kind of city is it? Do people know everybody? Is this a popular church? And then also, well, let's just go that, and then I have one more follow-up.
So Charlie Langton, he just would like to ask you, talk to us about Grand Blanc. What is it like? What type of community is this? And again, just this sense of community.
Oh, there's a serious sense of community here. The Grand Blanc High School has a lot of events going on a lot of times. Just at the corner, you'll see a number of vendors and different activities going on in the neighborhood. I do see activity at the church as far as people dropping their kids off. I believe there's a daycare there or something of the sort in the mornings. But other than that, quiet community. You don't hear anything. Nice place to just get home and relax and just live life.
And what's your second question, Charlie?
Does she know anything about Burton, where the gunman, the shooter, apparently lives? What about Burton?
So in the press conference, the chief said that the shooter, the alleged shooter, is a 40-year-old person from Burton. What can you tell us about that area?
I'm not too familiar with Burton. I do believe I have some friends that still live out that way, but I've never heard anything bad about any of the surrounding areas, to be exact, and especially something to this magnitude. You just don't expect it to be in your face.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely does give you pause when you see something like this.
But try one more question, Ingrid. Does she
I hate this guy.
I'm worried. I mean, is she going to do anything?
Leave her alone. Get a job.
Differently because of the shooting.
So, and then one last question. We were wondering, do you plan to beef up security at your home based on this incident?
My home is pretty secure. What can you do? You do as much as you can. You secure as much as you can. Security alarm system, dogs, cameras, whatever. What can you do? What can the church do aside of locking the door behind each and every?
It does appear as though our Fox 2 Detroit coverage has frozen, at least momentarily, for that. So we are going to take this opportunity to step away for a brief break, continuing our coverage of this breaking news after that. Stay with us.
They buttoned her, dude. She got raptured in that fucking moment, actually. They were like, dude, she's not blaming Antifa. Get her off the fucking air. What the hell? Get her off the air now. What the fuck? Denims, I think we need to take a good, hard look at giving Israel another $1 billion. I know I disagree with chat a lot, but I think you guys finally said something that I agree with. Yeah. I think it's a good time to do that, actually. I think it's a good time to do that. Yeah, I think that's good. That would be good. They were afraid with the what can you do angle. She might lead to the following question. What can we do about gun violence? They call Burton Burtucky. Oh, my fucking God. The older I get, the less I can watch CNN over even Fox News. Because CNN just they pretend to not be corrupt pieces of shit. Whereas at least on Fox News, there's no pretending. It's just, we're going to be fucking insane and you're going to watch. And it's like, okay, I guess. Denim's real question is churches or public events places. Why don't they have security? I mean, why don't churches have security? Great question. Honestly, I think it's usually because the people that go to churches are 50% hog. But mostly because it's a fucking church. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know. Some churches actually do have armed security, but those are mega churches that bring micro celebrities. Also, what kind of security is going to keep an F-450 from running into it? Yeah. I think there might also be a little bit of religious, oh, well, God will save us in the church. Wait. All right. We still don't have any more information on this shooter yet. We just know that he's a 40-year-old man. That's it. That's all we know, really. But I will keep it I'll be tracking the situation. But before we get to that, or while we're waiting on more information there,